Angels, higher spirits, messengers from the invisible spirit world have been known by many cultures for thousands of years. Today, people around the globe are still sighting angels and reporting what they have witnessed to others, further expounding on legends of divine spirits sent by God. Sightings of angels have been documented in recent times. An angel sighting can be a bit different than most might suspect. Many sightings of angels are actually mysterious visitors who show up, provide assistance of some sort, and then vanish as quickly as they appeared. Usually, the person who experiences this type of spirit intervention will not necessarily see the angel appear or disappear, but will later realize that the benevolent human-looking stranger that vanished had to be an angel. Typically, this type of angel sighting takes the person by complete surprise and occurs during a time of need. Other angel sightings are quite dramatic and describe a light being of some sort who provides a word of guidance or caution. This type of angelic sighting is often described as life-changing, with the angel presence being full of love and peace. Although having an angel sighting such as this can be intimidating, often the people who have been fortunate enough to have such an experience describe having felt calm and not frightened. Sometimes people may have angel sightings through a vision, perhaps while dreaming or during near-death experiences. The word angel means messenger, and throughout biblical writings there are various accounts of angel sightings and visitations. Most every account found within the Bible describes angels as being human in appearance and without wings. For example, 3 angels appearing to Abraham who looked like men, Jacob wrestling with an angel, and the 2 angels who visited Lot and looked like men. Angels were not described as having wings until artists began painting them that way after Orthodox Christianity was officially formed in 325 AD. Early Christian art did not represent angels very often, and when they did, they appeared in frescoes. Angels were often represented as other things. For example, in some paintings, an angel was indicated by doves. In another painting, an angel or messenger is depicted as the hand of God. Roman Emperor Constantine changed things when he formed Christianity into a state religion through his Council of Nicaea in 325. It would be after this that angels would eventually be depicted in paintings and art with wings and halos. If an angel is seen, they are typically described one of 2 ways. Either they are human in appearance, or they are described as spirit bodies of light. Many appear as humans, for they are human spirits. Many times angels help and assist people, and the ones they help are completely unaware of who they are. For example, there are numerous accounts of angels rescuing people, coming out of nowhere, then disappearing as quickly as they manifested. The people rescued never knew they were saved by an angel until they think about the experience later. An example of this is found within the New Testament. Do not forget to entertain strangers, for by so doing, some people have entertained angels without knowing it. Sometimes people have described seeing a glowing messenger through dreams or visions, and these visitors are often enveloped in a bright light. They emanate peace and love, which can be tangibly felt, bringing a message of importance. There are multiple stories of angelic encounters in modern times. Rose Benvenuto swerved to avoid hitting a dog and ended up in a severe accident. Amazingly, she survived. But what was captured in a photo near the wreckage was also fascinating. Benvenuto saw her angel and said the proof is in the photographs. Only my guardian angel could have saved me from such an accident, she related to her story to ABC News in 2013. Dr. Frank Oski was in residency when he saw an angel appear as bright as the sun in a dying patient's room. The angel, I don't know what else to call her, said that life is an endless cycle of improvements and that humans are not perfect yet. She said that most people have this secret revealed to them when they die, but that handicapped children often know this and endure their problems without complaining because they know that their burdens will pass. Some of these children, she said, have been given the challenge of teaching the rest of us how to love. Oski wrote about his experience in a major pediatric journal. Lily Lenardi was an FBI agent retired from post-traumatic stress disorder after 9/11 and refrained to tell her story in fear of being ostracized. According to a 2012 report in The Blaze, Lenardi told her inner circle that she began to see a light that was blinding. All at once, the mist took full shape, and I saw what appeared to be angels. There were angels standing in the open area to the left of the crash site. There were hundreds of them standing in columns. There was a field of angels emerging from the rims of the mist. They were archangels with their wings arched up towards the sky. Dr. Ron Phillip was driving in Alabama to a church event when it started snowing and his car skidded towards the edge of an embankment, losing control of his car. He told Charisma magazine he prayed to God and the Lord commanded Philip to tell his angel to help him. Seeing a faint glow, the angel was sitting in the passenger seat. Later, a state trooper wondered how Philip made it through the dangerous road, wishing him and his passenger a safe ride home. Philip was the only person in the vehicle. Erin Potter was battling with cancer since first diagnosed with leukemia in 2007. After her cancer returned for a third time, she was preparing for a second bone marrow transplant. On a normal day, Erin was playing out in the backyard one day with her sparklers when her mom took a photo. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but when she looked at the photo, she was shocked to see an angelic figure watching over the child. Just after the picture was taken, Erin successfully received her transplant and is now completely cancer-free. 14-year-old Chelsea Banton was suffering from multiple development disabilities and has been in and out of the hospital countless times. As pneumonia was taking over her life, her mother had to make an unthinkable decision. She asked the doctor to pull the plug on Chelsea's life machine to end her years of pain and suffering. As she was praying by her side, the doctor pulled the plug. Remarkably, hours after the plug was pulled, Chelsea remained alive. The nurse at the station glanced at the monitor and noticed a man standing at her door. Thinking it was odd, she went out to see what he wanted, but he was nowhere in sight. She went back to the monitor and saw him again. She was so confused by this, so she called over other hospital staff, and they confirmed they saw the same thing. So amazed by what they had seen, they indisputably agreed that what they saw was an angel that saved Chelsea's life. While heading home one evening, Mr. Wooten was involved in a gruesome accident that should have taken his life. Nearby, Pastor Michael clearly witnessed the accident and ran to help. He recalls seeing his SUV starting to roll over before launching into the air and slamming into a tree. He then saw something propelled out of the passenger side window. Michael said, When I got to where it was, I was shocked to see a young man curled in a ball. The whole time this was happening, I was in prayer mode, asking God to protect this person. After first responders showed up, Michael began taking pictures. To his shock, he saw an angelic figure watching over the young man as he was being treated. Miraculously, he survived, and he and his family truly believe it was his guardian angel captured in the photo. If angels exist, do demons also exist? 2/3 of all Americans believe not only that angels and demons exist, but also that they are active in the world. Skeptics are dumbfounded by such archaic nonsense. To believe in non-physical beings, souls or spirits without bodies, in today's world may seem delusional. But there are serious scholars who take angels and demons seriously. Why? Certainly non-physical beings would challenge the scientific overview of only the physical is real. Certainly angels and demons in one form or another populate most of the world's religions. But do angels and demons really exist? Speaking in a religious sense, demons are usually depicted as agents of evil. They're supernatural beings that come from the spirit realm, forms of darkness that lurk in the shadows. Some say they're fallen angels, banished forever from God's light. These are demons in the traditional Judeo-Christian model, and there are plenty of alleged accounts of such creatures throughout history. Sometimes they are said to haunt homes, intending suffering for the people who reside there. Other times they may actually possess a person. A terrified mother claims she watched in horror as her demon-possessed 9-year-old son walked backwards up a wall and ceiling. Her claims would be easy to dismiss if a child services caseworker and a nurse were reportedly there to witness it all. Latoya Ammons claims all 3 of her children showed signs of being possessed, including evil smiles and strangely deep voices. The Indianapolis Star reports the mother says she was witnessing her 12-year-old daughter levitating in their Gary, Indiana home. Strangely enough, the scary-sounding incident is outlined in official documents. Further, Gary Police Captain Charles Austin told the Star that he is a believer after making several visits to the home and interviewing witnesses. He first thought the family was making stories up as part of a get-rich-quick scheme. Ammons' home was exorcised by a Catholic priest in a number of ceremonies that were reportedly authorized by the Diocese of Gary. The story apparently became so believable that officers with the police department said they were too scared to stay at the house, and some city officials wouldn't even step foot on the property. The 32-year-old mother says the spirits that haunted her family's house were only vanquished after she moved away and underwent several exorcisms. The unbelievable story has come to light after the Indianapolis Star obtained hundreds of pages of official documents related to the case. William Friedkin sent theatergoers running for their rosaries with his 1973 classic about a little girl possessed by a sadistic spirit. The Exorcist is fiction, of course, but the film's terror is based on an actual demonic happening that plagued a 14-year-old boy named Robbie Manham, dubbed Roland Doe at the time to protect his privacy. Roland reportedly became possessed by a malevolent entity in Cottage City, Maryland in the late 1940s after trying to contact his late aunt with the help of a Ouija board. Once under the influence, the boy levitated and spoke in tongues. Priests were summoned. After more than 30 rituals and a move to Missouri, Doe was finally relieved of his otherworldly visitors. He eventually returned to normal life. The Smurl family case represents one of the most highly publicized and scrutinized exorcism cases to date. In 1974, Jack and Janet Smurl says a malevolent presence possessed their West Pittston, Pennsylvania home, emitting foul-smelling odors. It also threw the family dog against the wall, pushed the Smurl children down the stairs, and sexually and physically assaulted Jack. Their story caught the attention of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, who deemed the house disturbed by a very powerful demon. While exorcisms were performed, none seemed to work. Janet claimed the demon moved through the walls of her double-block home during such procedures. In 1986, after several holy blessings and prayers on the part of the Smurls, the forces finally subsided, although Janet was still alleged spirit encounters by 1987. Michael and Christine Taylor were a religious couple from the quiet English town of Ossett. In 1974, Christine accused her husband of having an affair with the leader of their prayer group. The accusation enraged Michael. He yelled obscenities and acted erratic. When his behavior intensified, angelic priests decided to purge the man of his demons. The exorcism lasted all night long, exhausting the priests. While they claimed to have freed Michael from more than 40 demons, they also believed that some forces remained within him. Perhaps they were right. Soon after the exorcism was over, Michael returned home and murdered his wife and poodle, then roamed the streets soaked in blood until he was arrested. If you've seen The Conjuring, then you're familiar with the freaky case of the Perron family. Their real-life horror story began in 1970 when they moved into a quaint Rhode Island house they thought would be their dream home. The family encountered eerie activity soon after settling in. They heard strange sounds, were pulled from their beds at night, and witnessed the ghost of a woman who hanged herself from the bedroom ceiling. Carolyn received the harshest treatment. The mother was poked and prodded by what she described as a needle. When the family still wouldn't leave, Carolyn was possessed. Distraught, the Perrons contacted paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, who claimed to uncover the home's sinister secrets. The property had reportedly seen its fair share of crimes and suicides, including a supposed witch who had sacrificed her child to the devil. While spiritual cleansing was performed, they did little to curb the activity. In 1980, the family sold the house and fled to Georgia. The evil reportedly followed the Perrons southward, though it was less severe than what they had encountered in Rhode Island. Demonic possession continues to this day, with reports yearly of satanic visitations. Many also believe that UFO alien reports are actually demons roaming the earth and in the skies. The aliens of our time match the demons and fallen angels mentioned in the Bible in terms of their behavior. Like the Bible predicts, aliens never affirm the deity of Christ, nor do they claim to come in His name. Aliens change their stories to delude man into believing their lies. One example of this is that before man had ever been to outer space or sent satellites there, aliens would claim to be from planets such as Venus in our solar system. As time went on and man learned more about our planets, we realized that no one could live on a planet like Venus, so aliens changed their story. Now they claim to be from other star systems and star clusters, such as Andromeda and the Pleiades. Though aliens are said to be advanced, It seems they need us for their survival, just as fallen angels need human beings to prey on. There are various accounts of aliens taking tissue samples from humans, probing them, or impregnating women. This is the origin of the entities known as incubus and succubus. It is said that alien abductions are stopped by invoking the name of Jesus. Aliens bring ideas to Earth that will help man unite worldwide for a new era of consciousness. This uniting prepares the way for their leader, who is possibly the Antichrist, by making mankind forget their religion and loyalty to their countries. Aliens often contact New Agers and occultists as opposed to Christians. This is not always the case, since people from all walks of life have been contacted by aliens. However, these space brothers are not too interested in contacting Christians, perhaps because Christians will be able to see through aliens' disguise and know them for what they are: demons. Aliens are not opposed to being worshipped by humans. They also deny their creator, God, claiming instead that they are creators. This serves to draw man away from God. Aliens often emit horrible odors, such as sulfur. Some call this smell the stench of hell, since it is a sign of the eternal fire. Aliens give man technology, but these advancements are usually destructive. There are secret projects that many governments have in their budget, which are usually for creating new weapons of war. Much of the technology for such weaponry is said to come from extraterrestrials. Why don't aliens ever give us life-saving technology? Angels and demons not only exist in Christian lore, many New Age religions also support the idea that angels watch over people. New Agers believe they can contact angels directly via channeling or spiritism. One representative New Age channeler offers clients angel listenings. A typical listening lasts somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes, and is really nothing more than a conversation between the counselee and his/her channeler, through whom the counselee's angel is supposedly speaking. After going into a trance, the channeler writes down everything the angel relays to him or her using a pencil and pad. The counselee never actually hears the angel speaking, though some have claimed to see a glow of light or to sense a presence in the room. Meditation and visualization, both used to induce an altered state of consciousness, are popular means of making angel contact. As we practice withdrawing our attention from the physical world and focusing it on the spiritual, our perception becomes less limited to materiality. The non-physical realm becomes more real to us, and we develop the mental habit of attentiveness to it. The tendency of material concerns interferes with our receptivity to the angelic realm. Many who meditate on a regular basis claim to have made contact with inner guides and angels. Assuming one is successful in using one of these methods to make angelic contact, what form might that contact take? New Agers tell us angels can appear as animals and humans, male or female, visions or voices, and with wings or without. They can take the form of nudgings, intuition, or coincidence. They can appear as light on the water or in clouds and rainbows. It's also possible for an angel's appearance to be disguised in everyday events. You're therefore urged to pay attention to the subtleties in life. For example, a child may spontaneously blurt out a statement for which only you know the meaning. While thumbing through a book, a page may fall open with a clear message in the print. Headlines in the newspaper taken out of context might contain your message. New Agers believe angels have a mission to help us grow in wisdom and love, not just so that we will survive as a race, but so we will be able to grow into what we were always intended to be, perfected beings capable of incredible energies and immense transforming love. These angels seem similar to what New Agers call ascended masters, formerly historical persons, including Jesus, Buddha, and Muhammad, who have allegedly super-evolved and ascended to a higher plane of existence from which they now assist other humans to evolve. New Agers tell us we can make a declaration to the angels, who will help bring about what we desire in life. Making a declaration to the angels means that you are openly announcing what you want known to heaven. Declaring your goals and statements of things to come will establish a plan of action with the angels. The angels will bless the declaration and add higher inspiration and aspirations to it. The New Age can be viewed as a successor movement to the counterculture of the 1960s. As observers of the New Age vision have pointed out, a significant portion of New Agers are baby boomers, people who for several decades earlier were probably participating at some level in the phenomenon known as the counterculture. And as the counterculture faded away in the early 70s, many former hippies found themselves embarking on a spiritual question that in many cases departed from the Judeo-Christian mainstream. Attracted to the idea of guardians and angels, they became more aware, and thus angels are seen more frequently now. However, conservative Christians believe the New Age movement is the most deceptive and damaging philosophy around today. It is entwined not only in witchcraft and Satanism, it is prevalent in all denominations of what the world calls Christianity. The belief system is deeply rooted in Eastern mysticism and the occult. Followers are told to awaken their God consciousness through transcendental meditation, yoga, hypnosis, visualization, and more. What most do not understand is this is the same thing Satan said in the Garden of Eden to Eve: "You will be as gods." Angels have always been involved in bringing revelation to mankind. They have also been involved in bringing false information. It all depends on which spirit you have made contact with. 42% of Americans believe they have been in contact with someone who has died, and almost 15% endorse the work of spirit mediums. How can one know if an angel is good or bad? Perhaps only the individual experiencing the angel can know this. Despite its highly eclectic nature, a number of beliefs commonly found within the New Age movement have been identified. Theologically, the movement typically adopts a belief in a holistic form of divinity which imbues all of the universe, including human beings themselves. There is thus a strong emphasis on the spiritual authority of the self. This is accompanied by a common belief in a wide variety of semi-divine, non-human entities such as angels and masters with whom humans can communicate, particularly through the form of channeling. Typically viewing human history as being divided into a series of distinct ages, a common New Age belief is that whereas once humanity lived in an age of great technological advancement and spiritual wisdom, it has entered a period of spiritual degeneracy, which will be remedied through the establishment of a coming age of Aquarius, from which the movement gets its name. There is also a strong focus on healing, particularly using forms of alternative medicine, and an emphasis on New Age science, which seeks to unite science and spirituality. A number of mid-20th century influences, such as the UFO religions of the 1950s, the counterculture of the 1960s, and the human potential movement, also exerted a strong influence on the early development of the New Age movement. Indigenous American spiritual leaders, such as Elders Council of the Lakota, Cheyenne, Navajo, Creek, Hopi, and Chippewa, have denounced New Age misappropriation of their sacred ceremonies and other intellectual property, stating that the value of these instructions and ceremonies when led by unauthorized people are questionable, may be meaningless, and hurtful to the individual carrying false messages. Traditional leaders of the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota peoples have reached consensus to reject the exploitation of ceremonial ways by non-Indians. They see the New Age movement as either not fully understanding, deliberately trivializing, or distorting their way of life, and have declared war on all such plastic medicine people who are appropriating their spiritual ways. This includes the often misused appropriation of spirit animals as angels and/or demons, and claiming some native association of these beings into their religion. Spirit animals are said to be messengers and have the ability to help you make decisions. They appear as an animal in a dream or even in the physical. The message itself can be spiritual in nature, or it can be a warning. The message may deal with a seemingly mundane aspect of your life, or it may be a wake-up call for some important action you must make. Sometimes the animal messenger will come during an unusual event and make a powerful statement, and others come on the wind as a whisper. A messenger guide can cause you delays or some unforeseen help in your life. They can be both negative and positive in nature, for they are totally impartial. When a decision is made to follow a certain path in life, the animal guide is there to serve as a guide along the way. It represents a path that may take months or years to complete. It can be a friendly traveling companion if the path is right. If you become lost along the way, the spirit animal guide is there to help lead you back. American Indians call the process of connecting with animal guides and other parts of creation as being one with nature. Connecting with your animal guide will make you a better person. You will be healthier physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You will see the world and all things in it with more clarity and understanding. Natives believe the New Age white man revolution is highly hijacking portions of their beliefs and trying to use them as spiritual wisdom. Psychic websites say that spirit guides are often attributed to giving gut feelings or intuition about people or situations, and the way to connect with a spirit guide is through some meditation sessions. This will allow your body and mind to become receptive and open to communication channels. To a native, this is pure New Age mumbo-jumbo. First, the psychic website fails to acknowledge and accept the omnipotence of God in the process of creating and empowering the spirit guide. Second, they give all the power to humans who will invent and control the spirit through psychic gut feelings and intuition. A true spirit guide is divine and sacred. Its power, wisdom, and actions stem solely from the Holy Spirit of God or the Creator. To believe otherwise is an exercise in vanity, narcissism, and a grievous error. The error is allowing oneself to be guided, not by the Spirit of God, but by a human flawed supposition usually spawned by vanity or other emotional responses. Purveyors of so-called birth totems combine Native American belief in animal spirits with astrology and assign various animal spirit guides to a particular birth date of the individual. Animal spirit cards also assign an animal spirit to the individual by the chance shuffle of the cards. Both of these practices have no basis in American Indian religious beliefs. Some messages from an animal spirit guide may be confusing, if not impossible to understand, without considerable practice and patience. Spiritual wisdom from angels will come when necessary and when you are ready for the message. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, often seen as angels or fallen angels, are described in the last book of the New Testament of the Bible, called the Book of Revelation of Jesus Christ, to John the Apostle. The chapter tells of a book or scroll in God's right hand that is sealed with 7 seals. The Lamb of God opens the first 4 of the 7 seals, which summons 4 beings that ride out on white, red, black, and pale horses. Though theologians' popular culture differ on the first horseman, the 4 riders are often seen as symbolizing conquest or pestilence, the Christ or the Antichrist, war, famine, and death, respectively. The Christian apocalyptic vision is that the 4 horsemen are to set a divine apocalypse upon the world as harbingers of the last judgment. Some Christians interpret the horsemen as a prophecy of a future tribulation, during which many on earth will die as a result of multiple catastrophes. The 4 horsemen are the first in a series of seal judgments. This is when God will judge the earth and is given the world a chance to repent before they die. American Protestant evangelical interpreters regularly see ways in which the horsemen and Revelation in general speak to contemporary events. Some who believe Revelation applies to modern times can interpret the horses based on various ways their colors are used. Red, for example, often represents communism. The white horse and rider with a crown representing Catholicism. Black has been used as a symbol of capitalism, while green represents the rise of Islam. Some equate the 4 horsemen with the angels of the 4 winds. They are described as angels patrolling the earth and keeping it peaceful. It may be assumed that when the tribulation begins, the peace is taken away, so their job is to terrify the places in which they patrol. 7 trumpets are sounded, one at a time, to cue apocalyptic events that were seen in the vision of the revelation of Christ Jesus by John of Patmos, as written in the book of Revelation in the New Testament. The 7 trumpets are sounded by 7 angels, and the events that follow are described in detail from Revelation chapters 8 to 11. According to Revelation, the angels sound these trumpets after the breaking of the 7th seal. These seals secured the apocalyptic document that was in the right hand of He who sits on the main throne, God. Upon the first trumpet sound, hell and fire mixed with blood is thrown to the earth, burning up 1/3 of the trees on the planet and all green grass. By the second trumpet sounding, it cues something like a great burning mountain that plunges into the sea and wipes out 1/3 of all sea life and ships. 1/3 of the oceans will become blood. By the sound of the third trumpet, a great star called wormwood falls to the earth, poisoning 1/3 of the planet's freshwater sources, such as rivers and springs. Man will die from drinking its bitter taste. Following the sounding of the fourth trumpet, 1/3 of the light that shines from the sun, moon, and stars becomes dark with these celestial bodies being struck. This catastrophe causes complete darkness for 1/3 of a day, during the day, and even through night hours. The fifth trumpet sound is the first woe of 3. Before this trumpet sounds, an angel translated as an eagle in some versions, appears, flying in mid-heaven, and warns, "Woe, woe, woe to those who dwell on the earth, because of the remaining blasts of the trumpet of the three angels who are about to sound." The fifth trumpet prompts a personified star to fall from heaven. This star is given the key to the bottomless pit. After opening it, the smoke that rises out darkens the air and blocks the sunlight. Then from out of the smoke, the locusts are unleashed. 5 months after the fifth trumpet blast, the sixth one sounds. This is the second woe, where 4 angels are released from their binds to the great river Euphrates. They command a brute force of 200 million mounted troops, whose horses dissipate plague from out of their mouths, most notably fire, smoke, and brimstone. They are responsible for the deaths of 1/3 of mankind, who are stricken by the plague that emanates from these armies. The sound of the seventh trumpet signals the third woe, the final trumpet sound, and the final woe. Loud voices in heaven proclaim Christ as ruler forever and ever under the kingdom of our Lord. Thanks is given to God the Almighty, and praise for the wrath that came, the dead who were judged, and the bond servants rewarded. The temple of God in heaven then opened, and the Ark of the Covenant appeared in his temple. Then lightning and peals of thunder occur, followed by an earthquake and a great hailstorm. Apparently, angels can be messengers of both good and doom, unlike their demon counterparts, who bring only illness, fear, and death. Everyday things that we cannot explain happen. When people are cured from a terminally ill diagnosis, survive near-death experiences, or triumph through insurmountable circumstances, angels are the only explanation that we can derive. As human beings, we crave an answer for everything. We do not accept the sheer ideas of things happening just because. Instead, we research, theorize, and brainstorm ways the unexplainable can be explained. Angels are the answer to the unexplainable blessings we experience in life. The messengers of God are watching over us and are performing miracles that in many cases save lives or renew hope in the hopeless. A near-death experience is a personal experience associated with death or impending death, encompassing multiple possible sensations, including detachment from the body, feelings of levitation, total serenity, security, warmth, the experience of absolute disillusion, and the presence of a light. Researchers have identified the common elements that define near-death experiences. The general features of the experience include impressions of being outside one's physical body, visions of deceased relatives and religious figures, angels, and transcendence of ego and spatial-temporal boundaries. Many common elements have been reported, although the person's interpretation of these events often corresponds with the cultural, philosophical, or religious beliefs of the person experiencing it. Individuals report encountering people which are generally identified according to the person's individual faith. For instance, in the USA, where 46% of the population believes in guardian angels, they will often be identified as angels or the deceased love, while Hindus will often identify them as messengers of the god of death. Reports include a tunnel experience or entering a darkness, a sense of moving up or through a passageway or staircase, a rapid movement towards and/or sudden immersion in a powerful light, or a being of light which communicates with the person. An intense feeling of unconditional love and acceptance is experienced. encountering beings of light, being dressed in white or similar. Also the possibility of being reunited with deceased loved ones, plus receiving a life review, commonly referred to as seeing one's life flash before one's eyes. Some near-death experiences have elements that bear little resemblance to the typical near-death experience. Anywhere from 1%, according to a 1982 Gallup poll, to 20% of subjects may have distressing experiences and feel terrified or uneasy as various parts of the near-death experience occur. They visit or view dark and depressing areas, or are accosted by what seem to be hostile or oppositional forces or presences such as demons. Another argument made by several near-death experience researchers, such as Parnia and Fenwick for the transcendental model, is that the occurrence of anecdotal reports of patients being able to see and recall detailed events occurring during cardiac arrest that are afterwards verified by hospital staff that support the argument that such perception sometimes do occur during periods of clinical death. Near-death experience researcher Janice Miner Holden found 107 such anecdotal reports in the near-death experience literature as of 2009, out of which approximately 91% were accurate. Near-death experiences are also associated with changes in personality and outlook on life. Kenneth Ring, a professor of psychology, has identified a consistent set of value and belief changes associated with people who have had a near-death experience. Among these changes, one finds a greater appreciation for life, higher self-esteem, greater compassion for others, less concern for acquiring material wealth, a heightened sense of purpose and self-understanding, a desire to learn, elevated spirituality, greater ecological sensitivity and planetary concern, and a feeling of being more intuitive. Changes may also include increased physical sensitivity, diminished tolerance of light, alcohol, and drugs, a feeling that the brain has been altered to encompass more, and a feeling that one is now using the whole brain rather than a small part. Many individuals who experience a near-death experience see it as a verification of the existence of an afterlife, and some researchers in the field of near-death studies sees the near-death experience as evidence that human consciousness may continue to exist after death. The transcendental or survivalist interpretations of the near-death experience contends that the experience is exactly what it appears to be to the persons having the experience. According to this interpretation, consciousness can become separated from the brain under certain conditions and glimpse the spiritual angelic realm to which souls travel after death. Perhaps we can become angels ourselves. Is it possible that we can become angels ourselves? Can we leave the physical body and travel about in a spiritual angelic body? Can we visit angelic realms before we die? As an alternative to belief-centric labels such as astral projection, soul travel, or spirit walking, out-of-body experiences can be induced by brain traumas, sensory deprivation, near-death experiences, dissociative and psychedelic drugs, dehydration, sleep, and electrical stimulation of the brain, among others. It can also be deliberately induced by some. 1 in 10 people have an out-of-body experience once, or more commonly, several times in their life. Those experiencing out-of-body experiences sometimes report, among other types of immediate and spontaneous experience, a preceding and initiating lucid dream state. In many cases, people who claim to have had an out-of-body experience report being on the verge of sleep or being already asleep shortly before the experience. A large percentage of these cases refer to situations where the sleep was not particularly deep due to illness, noises in other rooms, emotional stress, exhaustion from overworking, frequent reawakening, etc. In most of these cases, subjects perceive themselves as being awake. About half of them note a feeling of sleep paralysis. Writers within the fields of parapsychology and occultism have written that out-of-body experiences are not psychological, and that a soul, spirit, or subtle body can detach itself out of the body and visit distant locations. Out-of-body experiences were known during the Victorian period in spiritualist literature as traveling clairvoyance. In April 1977, a patient from Harborview Medical Center known as Maria claimed to have experienced an out-of-body experience. During her out-of-body experience, she claimed to have floated outside her body and outside of the hospital. Maria would later tell her social worker, Kimberly Clark, that during the out-of-body experience, she had observed a tennis shoe on the 3rd floor window ledge to the north side of the building. Clark went to the north wing of the building, and by looking out of the window, she could see a tennis shoe on one of the ledges. Clark published the account in 1985. The story has since been used in many paranormal books as evidence a spirit can leave the body. Astral projection is a paranormal interpretation of out-of-body experiences that assumes the existence of one or more non-physical planes of existence and an associated body beyond the physical. Commonly, such planes are called astral, etheric, or spiritual. Astral projection is often experienced as the spirit or astral body leaving the physical body to travel in the spirit world or astral plane as an angel would. This assumes the existence of a soul or consciousness called an astral body that is separate from the physical body and capable of traveling outside of it throughout the universe, where it interacts with other astral bodies and is capable of implanting ideas into other people's minds. The idea of astral travel is rooted in esotericism and occultism. It was promoted by philosophers who explored the mystical and preternatural origins of the natural world. It is sometimes reported in association with dreams and forms of meditation. Some individuals have reported perceptions similar to descriptions of astral projection that were induced through various hallucinogenic and hypnotic means, including self-hypnosis. There is no scientific evidence that there is a consciousness or soul which is separate from normal neural activity, or that one can consciously leave the body and make observations. Claims of scientific evidence of astral projection are considered pseudoscientific. Similar concepts of out-of-body experiences appear in various other religious traditions. For example, ancient Egyptian teachings present the soul, Ba, as having the ability to hover outside the physical body in the Ka, or subtle body. The soul's ability to leave the body at will, or while sleeping, and visit the various planes of heaven is also known as soul travel. The practice is taught in Surat Shaba Yoga, where the experience is achieved mostly by meditation techniques and mantra repetition. all Satmat gurus widely spoke about this kind of out-of-body experience, such as Kirpal Singh. The religion of Ekankar describes soul travel broadly as a movement of the true spiritual self or soul closer to the heart of God. While the contemplative may perceive the experience as travel, soul itself is said not to move, but to come into an agreement with fixed states and conditions that already exist in some world of time and space. There are cases of patients having experiences suggestive of astral projection from brain stimulation treatments and hallucinogenic drugs. In the Bible, Paul's second epistle to the Corinthians is more generally agreed to refer to the astral planes, where he said, "I know a man in Christ 14 years ago, whether in the body I know not, or out of the body I know not. God knows, such as one caught up in the third heaven." This passage appears to confirm out-of-body travel as well as other planes of existence. According to classical, medieval, and Renaissance Hermeticism, Neoplatism, and later Theosophists and Rosicrucian thought, the astral body is an intermediate body of light, linking the rational soul to the physical body, while the astral plane is an intermediate world of light between heaven and earth, composed of the spheres of the planets and stars. These astral spheres were held to be populated by angels, demons, and spirits. Other experiencers may describe a domain that has no parallel to any known physical setting. Environments may be populated or unpopulated, artificial, natural, or abstract, and the experience may be beautiful, horrific, or neutral. A common belief is that one may access a compendium of mystical knowledge called the Akashic Records. In many accounts, the experiencer correlates the astral world with the world of dreams. Some even report seeing other dreamers enacting dream scenarios unaware of their wider environment, while many report seeing guides or angels. The astral environment may also be divided into levels or subplanes, but there are many different views in various traditions concerning the overall structure of the astral planes. They may include heavens and hells and other after-death spheres, transcendent environments, or other less easily characterized states. If out-of-body travel or soul travel does exist, as many have reported, is it possible that we ourselves are angels? Christians believe that after we're finished on earth, we are laid to rest and are reunited with our loved ones, our angels. If you believe in heaven, then you believe in the greater powers that come along with it, angels and demons. While we cannot confirm that it exists, we still believe. Death cannot be the end to relationships we have with the ones we love. Knowing that heaven exists and angels live there, waiting for their loved ones, is comforting. Ultimately, heaven is more than a place where God exists, because it is also a place where our angels are waiting for us to join them. Faith is believing in the unknown, despite the good and bad that comes with it. There is no doubt that faith has the power to aid us in persevering through great challenges and everyday happenings. Angels are part of that faith. If you believe in a higher being, then you believe in angels. No matter what angels are, they are there to stand at the forefront and answer our prayers. When you're praying to God, you're also praying to the angels that stand next to Him and serve Him as messengers. Everyday things that we cannot explain do happen. When people are cured from a terminally ill diagnosis, survive near-death experiences, or triumph through insurmountable circumstances, angels are the only explanation that we can derive. As human beings, we crave an answer for everything. Nothing happens just because. Everything happens for a reason. Angels are the divine, guiding us through life's errors and happiness. Perhaps making contact and acknowledging the angels that surround us is the best way to cope with life. Spiritual awareness is the key, and love is the answer beyond all doors. Never be afraid to explore, because angels are there to guide and support you. And perhaps a single act of kindness daily does indeed mean we are angels too.